hard, like a fuck pot bomb.
Well, you got.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second official episode of the Pohada podcast and the second installment in the Booze with a Black Belt series. My guest this time around is another member of M Theory Jiu-Jitsu and another close friend of mine, Mr. Kevin Skadsheim. Before we get into it, shout out to all you fine people for tuning in. Shout out to 5 Watt Coffee, the podcast's official sponsor and the best coffee in the universe. And shout out to last week's contest winner, Bassy1973, who titled his review Always Sunny in the Twin Cities, which was enough to win a free coffee at 5 Watt Coffee. If you'd like a gift card to 5 Watt Coffee, get on Apple or Stitcher, hit the podcast with a 5-star review, and write something entertaining, and I'll choose the winner and buy you a coffee at 5 Watt Coffee. Without further ado, my conversation with Kevin Skadsheim.
So what are you Norwegian?
Yeah.
You are?
Mostly. The German and stuff. It's actually funny.
You look like the
prototypical
yeah, Viking.
Totally.
Like,
yeah. Like, what are you?
I'm a mixed breed for sure. I do have some Norwegian in me. I think my last name's actually Norwegian, if I'm been told.
How do you
correct.
pronounce it?
I say Skadsheim, but I've heard it should be Skadsheim, like you're supposed to emphasize the Heim.
Thing, yeah.
But I just do like the Scheim at the end.
Okay, because that's how he said it in the test episode, and that's how Marcus said it yesterday. And both times I was like, "Is that right?" And they were like, "I don't know."
I figure if someone gets it within the ballpark, I don't even bother correcting them. No,
Yeah.
but I have some Native American in me too. My
Sure.
entire dad's side of the family is up on Indian reservation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which one?
White Earth, up just north of Detroit Lakes.
Yeah.
And then some German, some Irish, just everything, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of Czech, actually. I always forget about that one. But like my great grandma.
Don't forget about that.
My great grandma on my mom's side, she was like 100% Czech. So
She'd have been Czechoslovakian, not
Yep.
Czech Republican.
Nope. So I actually did 6th grade. I did my country that I did my country report on was Czech Republic.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about it, but I know it used to be Czechoslovakia, but now it's Czech Republic.
Yeah. That's all I know about it.
That's my knowledge bomb for you guys today.
I'm in. Yeah, my girlfriend is like her great grandmother is what tribe is it? They're like Lakota.
Okay.
So she's X percentage.
Yep.
And she'd look like she'd be completely of my lineage. It's
Well, that's
funny how
like-
stuff gets bred in and out.
I'm pretty watered down. Because me and my brother tried when we were younger to get like affiliated with the tribe just so we could kind of like exploit the benefits of it,
yes.
and we didn't have enough.
Oh,
in
really?
us to like get like a
Just
tribal
enough
card.
generations. Yeah. Speaking of mixed breed, what's that dog? You got a good dog, huh? You got an awesome dog. What's Poppy? Poppy? Poppy?
Yeah, Pop Tart.
Pop Tart. I like that
Well,
even
it's
better.
Poppy, but Pop Tart's like their go-to name.
That's the formal.
So I take her to a daycare when I go to work and stuff because I'm a spaz about leaving her at home alone.
Seems right.
But there's a few poppies at the daycare, so she
Really?
earned the nickname Pop Tart because they have to differentiate between all the different poppies.
Is one of them Big Poppy?
I don't know.
Big Papa?
I know there's a
There's
Pop
two
Star.
different-
There's
Oh, good,
the only other one that was Pop Star, but there's a couple poppies I know for sure. But no, she is a boxer shepherd that I'm aware of.
Dude.
But she definitely has to have some type of like retriever in her as well because she's like a psychopath when it comes to like playing fetch and stuff like that. Like she is, like I have to make her stop, otherwise she'd probably just run herself to death.
Well, you'd get that with shepherds.
Oh, I didn't
Wouldn't
know that.
you?
Maybe.
Shepherd, like they want to go and get and anyway, the handful of pure German shepherds I've ever known. Is that the right word? I don't know. Were super crazy. Like you literally have to hide that ball from them by the end of it.
Maybe that's where she gets. Oh wow,
I
tall
don't know.
boy. Look at that. All right.
Oh, that's a real beer.
That's a real beer.
What is 12 ounce?
12 ounces. It's a good warm up. It's a good warm up beer. No, she's an awesome dog though. She's my little baby. She's very spoiled.
You haven't had her that long.
I've had her. It'll be 2 years in April.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Yeah. I got her when she was about like 13 weeks, I think.
I always screenshot it, and you've seen it. Obviously, you'll screenshot an important announcement from.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with my dog. It's very apparent if you follow my social media.
Where would I go to do that? What's your Instagram?
Oh, are we plugging?
Yeah, of course.
It's Skadsheim. It's very
At K Skadsheim.
Yeah, it's very creative.
Creative handles are bad news. You know what I mean? Like you have a creative email, like I heart jujitsu at gmail. Like, dude, no, just
I think
Kevin
I actually did that for a while when I first like got onto Instagram because that's what all the other BJJ athletes were doing. They had like jujitsu at the end of their name or
like
whatever.
Baron Broski or something like that.
Something ridiculous like
something
that.
Silly. And then
no, I think it's like K-Scad BJJ or something. I was like, eventually I was just like, this is dumb. Like,
I am not a brand of BJJ
I'm
gis.
just like, well,
I'm not selling anything. Yeah.
I don't want to do something just because it's what other jujitsu people are doing too. Like
jujitsu.
Yeah. Are we like officially in this thing right now?
It's all been recording. I'm
okay.
kind of just.
I don't know if there's like a format.
No. It's kind of a cold start like that, and then I just chop out stuff a little bit. And
oh, nice.
Where are you from, Kevin? Polly asked you.
So
you were from here originally.
Yeah, Minnesota, born and raised. Never left outside of vacations. I was born in Minneapolis, and I lived right over by Matt's Bar. A little plug there for you. Tell us
what. Are they still open? Didn't they close? One of them places, the Juicy Lucy places, one of them like closed.
Matt's Bar is still open. I'm pretty sure that place is like a Minneapolis.
2020 headlines. Who even knows?
Historic site.
Yeah.
But no, I lived like half a block from there, and I lived there till like beginning of third grade. So like right before I turned 9, my parents moved us up to a small town of Pine City, and that's basically where the rest of my growing up was. But then, obviously came back to the cities for school and then work and things like that after high school. So that's my upbringing.
How old are you?
I'm 35 years young.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh.
I look 40, don't I?
I had you pegged for older than me, and I don't even mean that in a bad way. Like,
how old are you?
35.
Oh, when's your birthday?
April 18th.
I am younger. November.
Younger and better. Damn.
But yeah, grew up in small town Pine City. I think I'm just a city guy at heart though, because I go back up. Like my mom still lives up there and stuff, and I go back there, and it's like a really like it's small town, so everything's really simple up there. But there's just like nothing for someone like me to do, I guess. Like
it's not the right stimulation for you.
No, I mean like obviously like there's bars to drink at and stuff, but I just don't. I like to drink, but I don't like to party.
Yeah,
I guess
it's not a lifestyle.
No, it's not.
I actually remember sitting on the bench between rounds in one of my rare off rounds. One of your rare off rounds, actually, next to you. And you said, because you had seen my like beer Instagram nonsense or something, and you were like, "Man, I had a beer last night and it was good, but I'm just so dehydrated today just from that one beer." So I pegged you for a guy that just didn't even bother.
Oh no!
And here we are having booze with a black belt.
Yeah.
Which is
no, my drinking has definitely increased during the pandemic.
Sure.
So, which I'm sure everyone's has.
Yeah.
Not into an unhealthy standpoint or anything.
I'm
a very high functioning alcoholic.
Yeah,
so.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably like if it was a Saturday morning, like that's always hard to recover. I'm sure it was a Saturday morning.
It was a Saturday morning.
Yeah, because those Friday nights and then turn around Saturday mornings are always difficult on the body in terms of recovery and hydration. I feel like, and especially when you mix a few Friday night beers in there, it's
right. Holy crap! Does it work against your like sense of hydration? Like
yeah,
just a couple of beers, even if you follow it with Gatorade and water, you're still like.
Yeah, even New Year's, I made sure to pop my Pedialyte drink before I went out and had some drinks, and I still felt like death the next day.
Pedialyte, huh?
Well, I get the Pedialyte packets. So you just like dump it into like a 16-ounce bottle of water, and
am I thinking of the right thing? The Pedialyte, like it's for babies and stuff when they get diarrhea originally, but all of us like meatheads and stuff took it over.
It's for partiers too.
Yeah. Everybody realized it's good enough for babies. Man. It's good enough for my drunk ass. You ever cut weight? For a turn, you do tournaments, right?
Yeah. No, actually, my introduction into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I actually dabbled in amateur mixed martial arts for a while in my 20s.
There seems to be a lot of those actually. People that got into like fighting and then they realized
I don't want to get punched in the head.
Yeah, this guy's gonna pretend to choke me. I like that better.
No, and like when I did it, like I was not training like the way a mixed martial artist should be training. Like.
You should have been doing one of those tough man competitions.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like I was like training with some wrestlers and stuff like that, so I was getting some good rolling in. But like our striking, we would essentially just spar with each other, so there wasn't like a lot of like technique building going on there.
Just
I mean, I won a few fights,
but
but I definitely lost more fights than I won.
Mm-hmm. So you had several actual like I signed up, paid the money, signed the waiver, did a fight.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to pay money to compete in mixed martial arts. Yeah, I fought at like Black Bear Casino a few times, and down in Savage at Neeson Sports Bar. There's a promoter that does a lot of shows down there. I was 3-5, I believe, was my amateur mixed martial arts record. But I mean, it introduced me to jiu-jitsu, obviously, and I fell in love with it. But back to your initial question about cutting weight, which was really a long tangent.
It's the best kind.
Yeah, I would actually cut quite a bit of weight for those because I would walk around at like 190 and I would cut down to like 170 for my fights. So
yeah, that's significant.
Yeah.
What do you tend to be right now, just for reference?
I walk around at about a buck 95 right now, which is a little heavier than I would want to be. Because I think like naturally I should be competing at middleweight, which is 181.5 with a gi on, and I would
That's a big old difference. Am I wrong?
From 195 down to 181. Yeah, that's, I mean,
in terms of like living close enough so that it'd
Yeah.
be, a little bit of restriction
Yeah.
a couple days out.
but that's just pandemic weight is what I like to think of it as.
There's always this meme. I have largely a fitness background, and there's this meme every year, kind of cold-hearted meme. It's, stop blaming the holidays. You were fat in August.
That's so rude.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's one that you read and you go, yeah, okay, lay off me. But then it's also like, stop blaming 2020. You were an alcoholic in 2019. You know what I mean? Like, just chill out over there.
No, I definitely like, just like with working with home and everything, when you get like your mornings back, like after the pandemic hit, it just makes it easier to have a few drinks at night because you sleep in a little longer. You don't have to worry about rushing around getting to work in the morning and things like that. And then obviously there's literally nothing else to do when the lockdowns were in effect. So that's my excuse.
Well, yeah, reason sounds better than excuse. Yeah, when I started doing jiu-jitsu, it was like post a pec tear. So that derailed the powerlifting stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that happened.
So I was like out of shape, little fluffy, weaker than ever, and concerned about a thing, right? So then I spent like the first year essentially like, okay, I gotta improve my cardio. Like I knew I was gonna have to, but holy crap. And then deliberately like losing a few pounds just to make moving around easier, And so I went from like probably around 300 pounds down to like 270 to 275, somewhere in that range.
That's a good drop.
And inside of the first month, like March 15th to April 15th of 2020, when everything shut down,
back
all
up.
The way back up. I just gunned it, you know what I mean? And again, I'm back down, south of 280 or whatever. But man, that goes quick if you're not paying attention.
When did you start jiu-jitsu?
April 1st.
Of 2019? 2019,
yeah.
And you started at M Theory?
Yeah.
Okay.
You?
I originally started at a gym down in Savage. I think that they're an American Top Team affiliate. And then...
Why down there? Were you living down there at the time?
No, that's how I initially got introduced to it, actually, so I had a friend that, like, he wrestled in high school and all that. And then, like, a few years after, like, I've always been interested in, like, UFC and watching fighting and stuff, but he knew a guy that he worked with that trained at this gym. And, he was telling him how, like, there was this amateur MMA show, and I was like, oh, I want to try that. Yeah. So, like, we started training at that gym in Savage because that's where the guy he knew trained from. So that's kind of how I got exposed to it.
Follow your friends there, essentially, right?
But no, I wasn't living anywhere near there, and it was quite a drive. But
what's the name of the place?
American Top Team Savage is the team name. Well, I don't know if that's a school. I think it's like Minnesota School of Martial Arts or something along those lines.
I guess I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I don't. They have a lot of like fighters there, but I don't know like if they have a lot of like. I mean, they have a jiu-jitsu program, but I don't know what their competitive jiu-jitsu like scene is like. I guess. But then I trained at the Cellar for a while.
I just saw a post from them. They got like a whole new facility all decked.
Yeah, it looks like they made a hell of an upgrade.
Cool.
Yeah, they.
I think Randy Dorkson started there too, right?
Randy?
Yeah, the guy that manages M Theory, Randy Dorkson.
I understand the Dorkson reference, but why Randy?
Because it's fun to make fun of Ryan Dixon. So Randy, I think he did. Wasn't he a Cellar guy too? Like,
yeah.
Seems like that's sort of a normal thing. People kind of move around. And
yeah. So it was me, Ethan, Randy Dorkson, and Heidi kind of made the exodus over at the same time from the Cellar to M Theory, and then Molly, Ethan's girlfriend, came over as well at one point. She was at M Theory, and there's a few more that have trickled over in the years as well. Like Doug trickled over, and then Jack. So Yeah, but like someone like you starting out at M theory, like that's a really lucky way to start.
Well,
like,
well, but not even lucky. I was telling Paulie when we did like a test conversation that it was probably 3 to 4 years of consideration into the making me.
I did the same
starting
thing.
jiu-jitsu at all, but I happen to know like my buddy Chris Cleveter has been a member at 3 different.
Is that how you say his last name?
Cleveter, yeah.
Okay, I always said it in my head
say
as
it-
Clavetter.
You say it absolutely however you want to say it, but I believe Cleveter is the But like I had multiple text conversations with him over the years of where to go, what was close to me, and I'm close to a few of them living in Plymouth. You know what I mean? And where he had gone and what his experience was, and then I think one of the last conversations was just tell me where to go. And he's like, well, if you want to be a savage, and I was like, well, I don't, but I like the sound of that. So
It sounds cool.
Let's go. So yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, but that's just me being a wimp. Like what you do is you decide you want to do the thing, you sign up and join, and eventually you move because there's a more convenient location, or you just want a different culture, or maybe you know somebody at a different gym, or you'd be like me and you spend 4 years deliberating.
Well, I deliberated for a while as well. Like I remember actually walking into the cellar like before I even got involved in like amateur MMA and stuff like that, and this was at like their like 2 or 3 locations ago because they've upgraded quite a few times with their location. But I remember walking in and like talking to Chris about it at the time. And then he's like, oh, yeah, stop by later and try out a class or whatever. And I'd never stopped by later to try out a class.
The majority of people he's ever said that to.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just how gyms and
yeah,
work.
Yeah. But somehow I managed to make my way back around and got into it. So thank God.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine where I'd be right now if I hadn't stuck with it.
About 275.
Probably about 275, yeah. Smoking, doing all that stuff, I'm sure.
So part of being an M theory person and coming in here for this conversation is that it's a way I want to start each episode, but it never works out because here we are talking or whatever. But anybody that's got like an M theory tie or goes to M theory, I'm going to ask them to, yeah, it's good that you cleared your throat. I'm going to ask them to do their best Ishmael Bentley impression.
Oh, Jesus. So, okay, I'm just going to go with the story. So, I was dating my ex at the time, and it was the day after Valentine's Day because me and her, when we were dating at the time, we were like, okay, well, since Valentine's Day is on a Thursday this year, let's just decide we'll go out on Friday so we don't have to deal with the Valentine's crowd and things like that. So I was at open roll Friday evening, and I knew I had to leave by a certain time, so I was getting ready to leave class early, and I went to tell Ishmael just to let him know, like I wasn't like storming out angry or anything, but I was like, yeah, Ishmael, I gotta go do my Valentine's Day dinner tonight. He kind of looks at me with his side eyes. He's like, Valentine's Day is over. I just remember that quote specifically.
That sounds one. You can feel the eyes rolling as you describe it, and also that's exactly what I would expect him to say. But I got to add that was a little Mike Tyson-y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little Tyson vibe to it.
Yeah. It's also I would expect Mike Tyson to say that same thing.
No.
That's it. That's the only one.
That's the only one I can think. I'm so bad at impressions. I don't want to.
Oh, yeah, who's good at impressions?
I know.
It's a show of respect. I'm sure that's how he's going to take me having people do that on every single one of these.
And then the other, I'll think of another one. Like this is going to be a even worse impression than one I did. But it was like one of my first times training at M Theory, and we were doing an inversion drill, and he's describing how to invert, and like you put one foot on the chest, and then you can kind of invert that way. But just the way he said it really stuck in my head. He's like, I put my foot in his chest. So he has that southern accent, which really in play there.
Yes. Then you do it right. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm guessing I've never really done much right.
Sorry, can you repeat? You've never really done much what?
I was just saying I've never really done much right. So when I hear him saying
yes,
it's not directed at me.
Sorry, I completely spaced on that.
You were trying to think of.
I was trying to think of another impression I could do.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why I was just sitting there staring at you.
I was like, wait, did you just ask me something?
I do want to ask you actually. Paulie showed me a video, like a seemingly notorious video of you at a tournament from a couple years ago.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me about it.
Can
you won a match in like 12 seconds.
Oh, the wrist lock match.
Super.
The standing wrist lock. Yeah, that was like when I did that. Like I felt like such a dickhead afterwards. But it's like there's nothing illegal about it. But like it's such like a cheap way to win a match. I feel like.
Why? So this is where I frame it. Like, I'm new to this, right? I don't know a lot about jiu-jitsu. That's why I'm bringing real people in to talk about jiu-jitsu. But like
Real people.
within the confines of like strongman, which I
Yeah.
competed in a long for a good number of years, you pick the thing up, and then that's it. Like in powerlifting is like kind of more specific, more picky rules. But like, you see videos of strongmen doing deadlifts and stuff, and they're like crooked and bouncing off of their knees and all this. Like, it's a little bit how I think of jiu-jitsu. Like, within a reasonable set of rules, win the match. So, like, if taking a joint and bending it the wrong way is jiu-jitsu, then wrist locks are jiu-jitsu, and I just won the match. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% correct.
So it suits the bias in this situation.
So I like that was I think it was 2017 American Nationals in Vegas. So like obviously like when you're in like competing in jiu-jitsu, don't do this to your training partners obviously.
I'm gonna do it.
But like when you like go to grip someone's collar like in standing at the beginning of the match, like you need to keep like your wrist firm and like things like that. And like that, it was the beginning of the match and he went to grip my collar and like his wrist was just super loose and relaxed. So like I just did the standing wrist lock to him where you grab behind the elbow and just like drive it into your chest and like it popped like 3 times and he
sank right into it.
Oh yeah, like I went for it like until he like cried out in pain and like
hold on now, you went for it until he cried out in pain, but according to the video this is like a second at most. Like they come on.
Well, that's how, yeah, it doesn't take much. Yeah. Like when you like if you get someone with a relaxed wrist and you go to like pull in against like your chest on that wrist lock, it's just gonna go pop 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 and
just accidentally.
Yeah. But no, that was a nice because that was the semifinal, so that was a nice like because I had won the previous match on points, so like that was nice to just get that kind of nice breather and kind of coast into the finals that way. So
yeah, you earned the last match. That's kind of a nice little break.
Yep, exactly. So
I've only actually been wrist lock once. Again, I ain't been around too long, and it was Colin Bartle.
Okay.
And right as he sank it in,
where was it from?
I don't even remember it because I was super new at the time. Because right as he
were you a white belt?
Right as he sank it in, he said, "Wait, are you a white belt?"
Ah.
It's one of my favorite stories so far because they go for it and figure out the details later.
Don't wrist lock white belts.
Well, 100%. And he apologized. He's like, I think I have a kind of a familiar vibe in the place. I sort of showed up and now I'm here. So I think he kind of assumed it was a no-gi class, so he couldn't see the belt.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
No, no. I'm only kidding around. I mean, obviously you should not wrist lock white belts, but there's been a couple of times when I've been rolling around with a white belt and they're kind of flailing around a lot. You kind of just want to like get annoyed a little bit, and you kind of want to like
pull the leash.
Yeah. But no, you got to be nice to white belts for sure. Got to keep them coming back. You don't want to like you don't want some new guy like or gal, just using guy, but you don't want them coming in and like becoming terrified of it. Like you want them to like fall in love with jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So
you have more training partners.
Yeah. But once they get the blue belt, that's when you just start beating the shit out of them.
I know. That's why, like I told Marcus, that's why Ishmael gave me a black belt as a joke. I'm sorry, a blue belt. Wow. A blue belt as a joke so that people would start being mean to me. You got a black belt.
I do. It was a real smack. I mean, a smack in the face in a good way because it was very surprising when I got that. Things like, but no, it was a great feeling. I mean, I've been doing jiu-jitsu strictly since October of 2012, and then whatever experience I had before that just from training for MMA fights. So I was about 8 years in when I got the black belt tied around my waist.
And it sounds like 10 to 12 of like quote unquote training.
Yeah. I mean, I've been involved in martial arts since, I mean, if you want to count my youth karate days, but since it's around, I think it was 2009 when I did my first amateur MMA fight. So, no, definitely like when I got it, it definitely didn't sink in right away either. Cause like, obviously like you wanted to sleep with the thing after you get a black belt and stuff like that. But
then you could say you slept with a black belt.
Exactly. That's what I was going for. I'm glad you picked up on that. But no, like after a few weeks, like it definitely started to feel a lot more like normal to be like, oh, I have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now.
Yeah. Did you roll with like Ish that day? I don't remember because they did it like before class.
Yep. I didn't roll with Ish at all.
I don't know
that day.
if there's like sort of a usual, like traditional, like the slapping with the belt thing that some places do.
Oh yeah, that happened to me when I got my
The
purple belt.
First throw at a new belt, the
Yeah.
instructors take it or whatever it is.
No, I don't. I mean, no, Ish and I didn't roll that day. I don't think.
What about Jared?
I didn't roll with Jared either.
Who'd you roll with that day? How about that? Maybe that's a good. Maybe that's the question.
That was a while
who was your
ago.
first roll as a black belt? You gotta remember that.
Who was
I feel
it?
like I'd be all about that little data point.
Oh, it was Ethan. I'm pretty sure me and Ethan just partnered up. I think.
So I know that actually for a fact now that you say it, because I took some pictures and I remember you two guys squaring off, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it was Ethan.
But I like it was just like a lot of people were just like coming up asking if they wanted to roll, and someone asked me if I want to roll. Like I'm never like no, I don't want to roll with you. Like
I say no all the time. I'm getting a drink, man. Leave me alone.
Well, I mean, you should be able to say no. Like you don't have to roll with
yeah,
anyone you don't want to roll with. But I'm just.
It's a consent game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I definitely like when I roll now. Now that I have a black belt, I try to like pay a lot more attention to like how I'm doing things, because like obviously like my weak point, I mean one of my many weak points, but like is like being able to articulate and like teach it to people, and I want to be able to teach someday. So, but like.
Sure, yeah.
I've never just been like I'm capable of like doing things while rolling jiu-jitsu, but like I don't know if I could like clearly explain how I do things or why I do them and things like that. So since I got my black belt, I've definitely been trying to like pay more attention to that. And
do you think that's a pretty common thing actually?
I think it depends on
People get a black belt,
personalities.
they start thinking about it a little bit differently.
Oh, that's definitely common, I
their
bet.
Role in the gym or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely common, I think. But like, I think like some people are just naturally good teachers, and they're just naturally like they can articulate. Like Marcus is like really good at like articulating. Like I just think he's been teaching for a while as well, but he's just a lot more natural at it than my personality type is. So
The first time that I recall seeing Kyle say anything to anyone was like a week after he got his black belt. Like,
Kyle is a man of few words.
He's not a big, chatter for the most part. But I remember like a week after he got his black belt, he was like way down on like quote unquote the shallow end of the mat with like a day one white belt, and it's open roll because post COVID it was just sort of like whoever wants to roll can roll.
Yeah,
You don't even need the stripes kind of deal. And he spent the whole round just sort of talking her through stuff and explaining stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, that's got to be the black belt effect. It's purely probably coincidental, but like it just seemed like suddenly I saw him doing the thing. One of the things I remember hearing throws coach say was, because I was a thrower, Highland Games and stuff later on, but like shot put and discus, and I remember there's a line in throwing that you're going to learn more from a 150-foot discus thrower than you are from a 200. Because a 200 guy was born a 200 guy.
Mm-hmm.
Training and all that is required, but like odds are that 150 guy busted his butt.
Right.
Was a better understanding and had to learn things different ways and hear things phrased different ways and just had a more diverse view of it. And it seems like that's sort of.
Well, that's kind of like that.
You don't just get a black belt because you were on par to be a black belt. Like everybody learns it the blue collar hard way. So like whether or not you've strung the words together before, they're there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like you always hear that in jiu-jitsu too, is like if you want to roll with someone that's super technical, like roll with like women or like lower weighted people, like because they're not just like using that brute strength to get through it. They've actually like learned. Yeah.
Day of that.
Right.
There was after M Theory reopened. There's a new guy who actually had done some powerlifting and stuff. He's pure straight white belt, no rank from any other gym or anything. And I've chatted with him a little bit because he's a small guy. He's like 130, 140 pounds. Asif, I think is what it was. I've only chatted with him a couple times. But, he's just diving in enthusiastically to this jiu-jitsu thing and, like, just kind of doing this, like, throwing himself at people thing, letting the legs whip around and tipping them backwards from a kneeling position, And I saw him do it a couple times, and I was like, I like this guy. He's getting good energy,
Is that the guy that, like, does, like, triathlons?
I don't know. I didn't really talk to him about kind of like Middle Eastern complexion and like long curly dark hair. Again, he probably did like half a dozen classes in that first reopen, right? We paired off on the last round, and he went to do it where like he goes almost chest to chest, and the legs come around, and he kind of just knocks his opponent backward, And I just stuck my arm out because I have terrible fighting instincts. Like you would have arm barred me, right? But he doesn't know nothing about that. But I'm also 300 pounds. So I put my arm out, and he went ass over tea kettle, man. Like, just completely flipped over backward, and he got up, and he's like, well, that's not going to work here, is it? I'm like, man, I don't know if I can stop you, but that ain't going to work, you know? And, so, yeah, I mean, like, I have moments where, like, I can hang on to Paulie's collar, even though he's got two hands trying to break the grip, because I can, you know? So I've got a certain amount of control because I do, which puts me on a worse curve than somebody else because they never had that advantage, quote unquote advantage, right? So yeah, you take a small person or your average female, and they got to get technical right off the bat. It seems like.
Yeah.
That's why I like rolling with Big Jesse, Blue Belt Jesse.
Oh yeah,
We're just a mess. It's just disgusting.
He like I was watching him actually rolling like before the last close down. He was actually like doing some pretty like cool like explosive type movements like for guard passing and stuff like that. I was like,
he's afraid to go for it.
Exactly.
For sure.
I was watching him. I was like, I can't remember who he was rolling with, but I think he went for like a really like quick explosive like knee slice, and I was like, that looks really good.
Yeah. I'm afraid to do anything explosively.
Really?
And I think it's just like nice guy / big
well
guy
that's
stuff.
good actually that you're aware like that.
I don't want to hurt anybody or hurt myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you definitely like when you're like rolling like that, like or training, you want to know like, okay, like I can roll with this guy, and I know I can just go like competition style because he's in here for the same reason. There's things like that, and then like you roll with someone that's like 50 and like doing this as a hobby. It's like, okay, I need to change the style that I'm rolling this round, but no, like. I try to be really like conscious about that when I'm training on like on the mats and stuff like that. I don't want to be like that asshole that's just going balls out like no matter who it is every round. Like, because you definitely want to help people out and help everyone else get better in that sense. So going balls out the entire time is not a good way to do that with everyone.
Except for pot bomb.
Oh, fuck pot bomb.
Well, you got.
I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Absolutely. Like, when I've seen you guys roll, it's like, all right, they're going.
Yep. Yeah, Potabom, Ethan, Marcus. I mean, those are always guys that you just kind of.
Is that kind of like the third tier of black belts at M Theory? Like, I'm totally creating this little theory, but like, it seems like Rocco's been around forever, and Ish has been around forever, and then like I perceive at least Brian HBK has been around a minute for sure. You know, they're like 15, 20 years into training jiu-jitsu, and then there's kind of like the last 5 years of black belts.
Yeah, Potabom's just got a stripe, so he's been a black belt for at least 3 years.
Right? Yeah.
But obviously, Ethan, Marcus, and I are fresh, and Kyle.
Yeah, he was just a couple weeks before you guys, maybe 3 weeks.
Yep.
Sorry, seems like there's waves, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, guys come in together, and they train.
Yep. No, I see what you mean now.
Another group that sort of comes in together and trains. And
yep.
The guys who survive it end up getting promoted together in sort of waves, it seems like.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. It'll be interesting to see what the next wave is, though.
That's kind of where I was going.
Yeah. I was trying to think of it in my head as I was like saying that, but
it immediately leads you to go, it'd be interesting in 10 years to see who survives long enough to.
I usually like if someone gets to their purple belt, like you can. It's generally a safe assumption that they're not going anywhere. Like they might slow down or like things like that, but they're usually going to stick with it because you've already invested like so much time just to get like to that level. That because I definitely think. I mean, I think it's kind of common knowledge as well, but like blue belt is like definitely the hardest belt to get through for sure. I mean,
not everything's new and shiny, and it actually is taking a fair bit of effort now.
Yeah, and then like obviously like you got that first promotion out of the way, so you're feeling kind of like accomplished in that sense. So it's like, maybe I better coast from here or something, but
or maybe that's enough. That's the dopamine hit, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like blue belts are notorious for getting their asses kicked all the time in the gyms too, because like I said earlier, they're just kind of an open target. So.
I mentioned this with either Paulie or Marcus on the earlier conversations, but I feel like as a big guy blue belt, like technically bigger than most folks in the gym, that's an exaggerated thing. Even like there's a gear that you go into when you're like, oh, I'm not going to accidentally hurt this dude. Let's go, you know. Because like I haven't had like I think I even used the example of Vince Olapalooza.
That's such a handsome last name.
Yeah. It's got style. But like I rolled like twice with him, and it was like I'm gonna watch you for the rest of the day and see if it looks like what I'm experiencing right now, sir. and it didn't. You know what I mean?
Vince is a good role.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
a pain in the ass.
He's willing to move a
Yeah.
lot and fast. Who do you like in that purple belt rank? Who do you like to roll with?
Oh, there's a lot of fun people to roll with. Aaron Chaney is probably my favorite purple. And now that Connor has his purple belt, because he's a pain in the ass as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like rolling with Aaron. I would say Aaron's my favorite purple belt to roll with.
He's on my. I even told him after I rolled with him a handful of times, or maybe a couple times, spaced by a few months, and then a couple times real close together. I was like, "You're my metric roll."
Metric roll.
Yeah, like honestly, like when I roll with a certain person who's usually on the other end of the mat from me, how does that go? And it's like after 6 or 8 rolls or whatever, it's distinctly less awful. Still awful, right? But distinctly like different or slightly better. Same thing with Micah. He's one for me just because he's a bigger cat.
Yeah, Micah, that guy is so strong.
Dude, Connor is the strong one.
Connor has like a lot of athleticism as well. So that's.
Well, no, I mean yes, but I think I even like the one time I ever rolled with him, and I always put "roll" in air quotes when I say that I rolled.
I mean, you don't have to quote it yet. You're rolling.
I'm laying flat on my back. When I laid flat on my back with Connor one time, I even said to him afterwards, because I'm the guy very often that gets the "wow, you're strong" insult at the end of a roll, because it's an insult in jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
He said, or I said, dude, you're a strong cat. And he was like, well, thank you, or whatever he said, And I said, do you work for a living? Because it's different. Like, I'm probably, like, relative to a barbell, I'm probably the strongest person to walk into that gym, right? That's been my occupation both literally my occupation as for recreation for years, but, like, I was like, this guy turns wrenches and swings hammers and stuff. You could just tell. And he is. Like,
he's an electrician.
And construction and stuff.
Well, like Zach Jeffrey. That guy does like woodworking and stuff like that.
Real
Like
woodworking.
yeah,
Like,
like
I don't
classic
use
stuff.
tools,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that when he gets a grip on you, like you're like, and you see his hands too, and you're just like this. Yeah, wow, that is a man hand for sure.
Peter call him monkey paws or something like that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't match him. That's absolutely true. I'm sure I'd never noticed his like grip, when he takes a grip, because I was so focused on his knee and my ribs the times that I've interacted with him. Less
I'm a
familiar.
simple guy, man.
I hear you, man. Yeah.
I like things simple.
Yeah.
Bottle looks cool though.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a few of those Christian Brothers last night. I was just telling Paulie about that. It's like Christian Brothers is like the type of stuff where like you can drink it and drink it and drink it because it's so smooth, and then all of a sudden you're hammered.
Mm-hmm. It's probably in the business model.
Somewhere.
A couple smart guys sat down at some point and was like, well, let's see. We need them to buy more of it, which means we need them to drink it now. What about Benedictine and brandy, that kind of thing?
What is it again?
Benedictine and brandy?
I don't know what that
Do you
is.
have sweet tooth at all?
Oh, I have a major sweet tooth,
Yeah,
dude.
you can get a bottle of B&B, Benedictine and brandy, from like most liquor stores. I apologize for telling you this. This is going to be bad for longevity, I guess. I don't know. But like, yeah, it's Benedictine and brandy and like a cocktail, but just a bottle of it.
Wait, what is Benedictine?
Things that you better look at Paulie and ask that.
Paulie, what is Benedictine?
I knew that, bro. Liqueur, I know.
It's not in my portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, spices and
Okay.
It's basically if you went to Marvel Bar, may it R.I.P., and said, I want such and such cocktail, they'd muddle together and mix together all this stuff, and you'd be like, it's a cool, unique drink using the booze I like. Same kind of thing. You just get a bottle of it, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a real cocktail guy though either. Like I like to like sip on brandy. Otherwise, I just like drink beer. Like I think the only cocktails I'll drink are like, if this is even a cocktail, but like mimosas on like holidays. Like I like to drink those a lot. But does that qualify as a cocktail, Paulie? Okay. Yeah.
Mine for that kind of thing, like there's 3 like stereotypical New Year's Eve out with the family for like brunch. What's the tomato one that everybody likes?
Bloody Mary.
Ugh, Bloody Mary.
I used to like those a lot, but one thing that pisses me off about Bloody Marys is like when you go to these places, you order Bloody Mary and they try to like put on this big show about it. Like they're putting cheeseburgers on top of the thing. It's like, just give me the fucking drink. Like If I want to order a cheeseburger, I'll order a cheeseburger. If I want to, I'm ordering a Bloody Mary because I want the drink. Like, I don't need all this shit on there.
Yeah, there's
And they charge you like $30 for it.
And 3 different
Yeah.
olives and
I mean, I don't mind if they put a beef stick in there or something like that, but like when they're putting all the burgers on top and whatever all that other crap is, it's nonsense.
I think I agree with that. Yeah. So Bloody Mary, mimosa, but mine is the tequila sunrise.
I think I've had like
course,
one of those in my
anybody
life.
that's ever met me is like, yeah, of course you went with tequila for a breakfast drink, you know. But like that's definitely
A screw up is a good breakfast drink too.
Would say it again.
Screw up.
I identify with it. What's it?
It's like a screwdriver, but they put a splash of 7-Up in it as well, so it gives it that
okay.
fizz.
Hmm.
That's a good breakfast drink. It's kind of like a.
That's not a good breakfast drink.
It's like
These are
a.
the worst possible things you could drink.
It's a good thing to consume right away in the morning.
Let's see, I got alcohol and I got sugary juice. Let's throw some soda in there and call it a morning. Like what?
No, it's like a redneck's like mimosa essentially.
Yeah, like I said, I am identifying with it. I like that. When I first started, let's not say training jiu-jitsu just yet. That's like when I put blue belt in air quotes and rolling in air quotes. When I first started showing up to jiu-jitsu stuff, Zach Jeffrey asked me what I want to be good at when I'm a black belt. What are you good at as a black belt?
God. I like training really hard, like in that sense. I mean, if you're asking for like a specific technique, but like that's always been like my favorite part of like training is just like doing like competition camps and stuff like that. Like I really
Pushing yourself.
yeah, I've always really enjoyed that and like that feeling when you get done of just like that accomplishment and you're like completely exhausted and like I always say like I like to sweat. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is like walking into the gym and it's like either the AC is too high in the summer or like they didn't turn the heat up high enough in the winter and it's like you're chilly and the mats are cold and stuff like that. I get a little irritated.
Saturday morning when Dorkson shows up late. And,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
'Cause he's been out at the bar drinking till 3 a.m. Classic Dorkson.
So, but don't be Midwestern modest about this. Like, I hate the phrase, but your game, your jiu-jitsu game, what are you good at?
I play a half guard like knee shield type of game. Like that's my like core foundation for sure. I think like around like the end of purple belt, getting into the brown belt, I started opening it up into like playing like a spider guard game along with it to kind of like just evolve my game a little bit. But like I love guard passing. Like aside from like hitting a submission, like I love like guard passing. Like I think it's one of the most satisfying things in jiu-jitsu is like getting past someone's guard for sure.
How would that not be the most satisfying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've officially beaten you in some regard. Like in a fight, I just won.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
Yeah, like I just like that blitzing aspect of like passing guard where you just like you do those really quick blitzes and you try to like get past their guard and you just use a misdirection going one way or the other and you
Is
just
that what you're supposed to do? Move fast and like misdirection? Okay.
you can. I mean, it's like
Let me write this down.
I mean, you could smash pass as well too, but I mean,
Trust
it's just
me.
it's a lot
The only
funner.
time I've ever passed a guard was like, well, I grabbed your leg, now I'm going to lean on it.
Yeah.
And, hey, look at that. That worked.
No, that's like I said, aside from like hitting a submission, like that feeling like you're blitzing and going back and forth and trying to get past their guard and finally like you get past and you just kind of like feel your opponent like they've just accepted that you've passed their guard and they're like,
Trust me,
okay, yeah.
I'm actually good at that part. What submission, though? You said submission is satisfying. You like that? What do you like?
Hitting a triangle is like probably like a very fun submission to hit. I like taking backs too, so hitting like a bow and arrow or something or some type of collar choke from the back is always a good one. Basically like aside from like getting the back, like anything like off of your back is really like if you hit an arm bar from your guard or something like that too is always a fun feeling.
Marcus was talking about baseball bat chokes.
I don't do those a lot. Like
No,
they're
but-
super powerful.
Like 10 minutes into our conversation or his description of, certain instances and stuff, it dawned on me he wasn't talking from mount. Like that, like I've seen it instructed in like essentials class a handful of times, and it's like, okay, you've mounted the person, you're gonna isolate this arm, you're gonna take this grip and this grip. He was talking like from his back.
Oh yeah.
And with someone on his back and all kinds of stuff that like blew my mind because it was just another reminder of what you don't know kind of thing.
Well, I like hitting a nice loop choke off my back as well. Those are fun to hit.
loop choke off
Yep.
of your back.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I follow you
And
there.
you like, you know,
You do a loop choke.
do a loop choke.
Well, so and when Zach asked me that, he's like, "What do you want to be good at when you're a black belt?" Which is sort of a giggly question. You know, it's a good question from like his perspective, but as the receiver of that question, you're like, "What?" You know. But I said I want to be.
Well, like, what do you like when you're doing jujitsu? Like, what do you?
No, hold on. This is before I knew what doing jujitsu meant.
Okay.
I only hesitate to insinuate that I know what it means now, right? Because I mean, this is like 3-stripe white belt only because I showed up 6 days a week at 2 different gyms and said screw it, right? But my personal answer was, and this is going.
Well, that's what jujitsu is showing up. I mean,
That's what everything is, Kevin. True story. To some extent. But like my instinctual answer was, well, I want to be good at teaching it.
yeah. Okay.
Going back to what you were saying,
Yep.
like, you know, now that especially now that you're a black belt, you feel like that's kind of.
Is that kind of like your goal ultimately? You think?
It's not necessarily my goal with anything, but it's where I go with everything.
Because you like have a team of like powerlifters and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yep.
I got into lifting, so I taught other people lifting. Got into strongman, taught other people strongman. Got into shot put, then I taught other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like my instinct to then want to go and share it with somebody else. You think that's part of your, or is it exclusively? I guess this is what I want to say. Is it exclusively the promotion to black belt that made you kind of go, I kind of would like to teach this stuff, or do you think that was in there all along?
I've had this fantasy since like around purple belt, like where like eventually like I would love to like have my own gym someday.
What's it called?
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, got to get the Instagram set up now. In case
I know. I
somebody uses the
got to
name.
start building that brand.
Mhm.
No, I don't have a name yet. First, I got to learn how to teach it. But that would obviously like somewhere down the line, like if I could just kind of like what Ishmael did for himself, like if I could just have like teaching jiu-jitsu and having a gym be like what I do, like that would be amazing, I think. And obviously I've had that thought since like mid purple belt. I would say I started thinking about that, but it might be like kind of like kind of how you said, that Midwestern kind of like humbleness about me is like I don't want to be like the guy that's like, oh, I know so much I can go teach people. Like I've always been kind of like quieter about it, I think. So
And the black belt then validates that feeling, and now you're willing to say it out loud.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
No, but honestly, yeah.
I mean, like I think with just getting the black belt is like, okay, now, because I always say like black belt is just starting all over on a new journey. So it's like almost like, okay, well, like now that I have my black belt, like I'm not so focused on like rank. Not that I was focused on that, like getting that next rank, but just like kind of like that leader mentality. Like I would like to be able to give back now that I have a black belt and like be able to help other people get their black belts and things like that, I guess.
The promotions, to my understanding, which is limited again at the black belt level, is that like it's hinged, okay, on years, but literally you can't go home and just sit around for 3 years and then come back and get a stripe. Like it's,
Yeah.
have you been training? Have you been contributing? Have
Exactly.
you know, help to set the tone of the room or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't think like, I think like there's like the formality of like, okay, you like, I think IBJJF or whoever, they say like, you know, you have to be this belt for X amount of years before you can get this belt, but that's not always the case. Like, it's not like necessarily just about like time you're putting in, because I mean, I was a blue belt for over 3 years. Like it wasn't like, and I trained like every, 4 or 5 days a week at that time. So I think it's like sometimes like whoever your professor is, like they promote everyone differently. I think like they have like different visions for like what everyone is doing with like their jiu-jitsu journey. So like,
and one would hope, like if it was just all right every 2.5 years,
Yeah.
then it would be mechanical and pointless.
yeah,
But
it'd
if
be a
they're
McDojo.
legitimately- yeah, yeah. If they're legitimately watching you and watching your progression, it's
Yeah.
not going to be this nice linear thing. Of
No,
the highest levels.
no,
There's
far
gonna
from
be
it.
Some long,
Yeah.
leveled off plateaus.
Yeah, but no, when I was a blue belt, like I still had that mindset. It was like I just wanted to get promoted and stuff like that. And I saw like maybe that was why I got held at blue belt so long. But I saw like other people like getting promoted ahead of me that had like been promoted to blue belt at the same time and things like that. So like that's kind of like where I started to learn like, oh, maybe there is a difference between like what your professor thinks what you should be doing or what the journey they see that you're on and things like that. So don't worry about the belt. Just show up and do your best. I'm not trying to diminish a promotion, because getting a belt promotion is a very exciting experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like me personally, like if I were to hopefully have my own gym someday, like I wouldn't want to just promote people just to promote them. Like imagine like being at a jiu-jitsu school and you just have a bunch of shitty purple belts or something,
Yeah.
like, and like some other like blue belt comes in and just walks through all your purple belts or something like that.
Or every time somebody goes on vacation and stops at the gym
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
went, they just get smoked.
Yeah.
And they just realize this isn't good.
Yeah. Which, I mean, can certainly be the case. I mean, if you get a world champion blue belt in your gym, they're going to probably give your average brown belt a very hard time. Like,
What was that MMA fighter? Real high level dude. Just a few weeks ago that got promoted to purple belt. But like there was a picture of him training jiu-jitsu with jiu-jitsu coaches.
yeah.
Adesanya.
Yep.
Yeah, I texted in like a group of jiu-jitsu folks that Paulie and I are in. I'm like, I screenshotted the photo and I'm like, hey, I'm the same level fighter as Adesanya. It's just ridiculous, you know. Yeah, I mean, like any like belt color can mean a wide variety of things.
Right,
but, like,
right.
having it be, you know, a Google task reminder
Right.
that such and such persons do is not the way to go. It seems like.
That's what makes jiu-jitsu a lot cooler than other martial arts too. I feel like, because like taekwondo or something along those lines, like you show up and you do a certain sequence of moves, and you're like, all right, here's your next belt.
You're
Where
the
it's
best
like
at punching the air.
Yeah, you've memorized this sequence of moves the best. Here's your new belt. Or jiu-jitsu is like it's actually tried and proven, and like you're putting your time in. You know.
Well, no, and everybody's putting the time in, but it's hard to spar.
Yes.
That's a standalone sentence that works pretty well, but it's hard to spar strikes on a daily basis, sort of testing your ability to do it, your ability to take it and defend it, and not like kill yourself.
Oh yeah, your body
like,
will not last.
Grappling, particularly grappling where most people sit down to start it. I mean, it just like functionally is a much like better way to survive it and end up with a much sharper blade.
Yep.
You can't.
I agree.
You can't spar striking arts the way that you spar grappling, particularly jiu-jitsu. Like wrestling probably get real old real quick.
I mean, you can, but like your window will be extremely closing very quickly.
You were the best in the world for about 7-8 months, buddy, and then you. Oh, listen to that.
So kind of like circling back to like,
Yes.
I think where our conversation originally. What is like, aside from like teaching, like when you're actually like rolling, like where do you like to like get to, or like where do you like your starting point to be?
I would like you to guess what I, as a 300-pound guy, like what position I like.
Side control.
It's probably a close second.
Okay. Are you a close guard guy then, or half guard?
Mount. I'm
Okay,
all about
mount.
that mount life.
What about like your guard game though? Like where do you like to be, like as like a
Mount.
reset?
Mount. The answer is mount. I don't actually know. I'm not comfortable with anything closed. I'm not comfortable. Honestly, what did you say? Like half guard with like a knee
shield, like the knee shield half, because there's different variations of half guard, but I like the knee
for
shield.
Sure. Yeah, when you said that, I remember internally thinking, like that's if I had a comfort, I would hesitate to use that word. If I personally had a comfort zone in terms of guards, it would be something like that. Like give me a leg, and then let me have some space. It's mostly just because I'm slow to think of stuff. You know, give me a second here.
Well, then you should focus on that a lot then too at the same time, because like
Focus on what?
like when you are rolling in the gym, like go to your back right away and play your knee shield game. And like when you're doing like different moves, like always transition back to like your knee shield game. Like if you
Try to get back to where you want.
Because like a lot of the stuff that I do, like it's like obviously like I like to attack and like try to sweep and submit and do all that stuff. But like sometimes like I'm just working to get back to like that reset point of like my knee shield, and then I start working like building up from there essentially. If that makes sense.
So you've got a string of things you're doing to get back to where you want to be, and then a string of things you would do once you get there.
Yes. So it's like, okay, I'm in kind of this uncomfortable position now, so it's kind of like time to like backtrack a little bit and get back to like that knee shield position. But then once I get there, I start like working up the ladder again to try to do something.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a string of negative numbers and then a string of positive numbers, and 0 is your half guard with a shield.
Yes.
Or something close.
So do that.
That's good coaching there. Do you own your own gym? Yeah, what I tend to, I don't know if I'm actually drawn to this or if I'm just so lazy. I don't dislike. I don't want to say I like, but I personally don't dislike being at really disadvantageous positions. Like having my back taken with both hooks in, and I'm just fighting to not let you officially put the lights out.
Well, that's a good way to train. It's like, sometimes, like, obviously you want to like switch up, but like,
Yeah,
you want to be comfortable with some, like, you don't, I mean, I don't know, comfortable is the right word, but like,
I think it
you
is.
need to know how to have someone on your back and be able to fight from there for
Yeah,
sure.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Somebody literally grabs you and you're in the most disadvantageous, unexpected position possible, let's say in the streets, right? If you have some level of calmness because you're like, no, I got your fingers here and nothing's going to happen. It's all good. You're safer.
Yeah. I mean, like, once you get to purple belt, like, you should have any level of calmness against someone in the street for sure in a situation like
sure,
that.
I follow you. Yeah. And that's not going to happen, so it's all hypothetical. But
You're not going to go out and start a bunch of bar fights.
not anymore, no.
You have to do that before you get a purple belt.
Do I have to register my hands as weapons as a county? Because Hennepin County is moving slow these days.
That's what I've heard.
That's
They're not getting through those permits very quickly.
Do you lift weights?
I do.
Do you work out, I guess is what I want to say.
Yep. I do yoga almost daily. I really enjoy it helps so much with like the aches and pains for sure. Because obviously like jiu-jitsu, a lot of what you're doing is like you're really tight and condensed and stuff. So like I've noticed it helps like with a lot of lower back pain and things like that. And I try to lift once or twice a week. I want to keep my back strong, obviously. Like that's where my spine is, so I'd like to take care of it. And it's another thing that yoga helps with a lot too, I think.
You do that at home or do you do it somewhere?
Yoga?
Yeah.
I just do it. I just pull up videos right now.
Yeah.
Like just YouTube, and I've like
Absolutely.
I have like 7 core videos that I have in my favorites that I do, and like I just kind of alternate between them, and like they're usually like 20 to 30 minute sessions. I'm not doing like hour-long, vinyasa flows or anything like that. But
You don't need that in your life.
yeah, I can do like hour-long classes if I go somewhere and do a class, but like if I'm just by myself in my bedroom, I just don't have the attention span to do an hour-long.
Do I have cream cheese? Bagel? I got bagels. Do I have cream cheese?
Just go warm up that taco meat. That sounds pretty good right now. I just made tacos today, so that's why.
Makes sense. Now I'm going to go get tacos. Yeah. American gringo tacos. Meat, cheese, tortilla. That's it.
I put salsa on there.
Oh.
A little bit of hot sauce.
Which kind?
What the hell is it called? It's in like a...
Tapatio?
Yep. Yes, that is it. Yes.
Buddy, yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I stumbled on that at Urban Growler. They put it on their breakfast burger. And I was like, I'm not a hot, spicy kind of guy. Wheat bread spicy. I'm Norwegian. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, this actually adds some flavor to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how I discovered that, actually. Oh, speaking of like internet themes,
Mm-hmm.
is it cool to hate on Surly these days? Is that the new thing?
It probably was once they made it big.
Because I saw like some comments thread, and I saw it a few times where like people were like, "Oh, Surly's not even that good. Like there's so many better IPAs out there." Blah blah blah. It's
The way I would phrase it is there are other awesome IPAs, and Surly does a pretty damn good job overall too.
Yeah, I do like a good size 7. That's like my
You're right.
second.
You're right. They do good stuff overall.
And I love going to their brewery. Like it's a good spot, good location. It's close to the gym. Yep.
Yeah.
Their patio's open right now.
Yeah, that's actually one of the few breweries I've been to since the lockdown of things because they had a really good patio system set up.
Yep. Ethan and I went there like 2 Sundays ago, I think. Froze our asses off, but we drank our beers. God damn it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, yeah. Is he a beer guy, Ethan? Ethan Bauman.
Yep. Yeah, he's a beer guy. He's been into the Irish whiskey lately, but he's a big Captain Diet guy too.
Okay.
I think Irish whiskey is pretty smooth. I like it.
It's definitely smooth.
It's not something I like. I don't go out and buy it or anything like that. But if someone offers me a glass or something, I'll sip on it. You know who has good taste in bourbons? Ishmael.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that guy knows how to buy some bourbons.
I would assume, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to send him Snapchats of like the brandy that I drink when I'm drinking my Christian Brothers or E&J. It's like, what is that, water?
My impression of brandy is that like Christian Brothers and E&J, no matter what you pay for brandy, for the most part, brandy's brandy to some regard. Like
that's why I told you when you asked me what I like to drink, I'm just like cheap brandy, man. Don't go over the top.
Like cheap whiskey.
You're gonna know.
You'll know.
Yeah.
Is that idea of starting your own gym and teaching jiu-jitsu, kind of like hypothetical, this tiny little thought in the back of my brain? Or if I said, hey, where's it going to be? What's it going to be like?
I wouldn't say like it's not hypothetical, but it's something that like I for sure want to do in my lifetime. Like, but I just don't have that type of vision for it yet. Like, where like obviously I would never open a gym in St. Louis Park or something along those lines.
Sure.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But I definitely do like the vibe that Ishmael has going in M Theory, just like the style of it and just the way he has everything set up, just a big open mat space and everything's really bright and it's really like going in there on a sunny day. It's just awesome being in there, you know. So in that sense, like I would want to be something where like people show up and they're just in a good mood to be there. And but yeah, I don't have. I guess maybe I should start putting more thought into it and thinking about my vision, you know.
Yeah, you're welcome. There we go. You're forced to inspire on it a little bit. I don't remember you. Again, I'm on the other end of this in terms of learning it. I don't remember you teaching classes or anything. Have you ever done that?
I have not.
Is that maybe like the place to start? Kind of throw your
Oh, for sure.
throw your hat in
Yeah.
the ring and
Yeah.
cover for somebody a few times here and
Yeah.
there and see how you like it.
Yeah, that'd definitely be something I'd like to do. When I was like when I was a purple belt, I was like kind of like helping out Ishmael with the essentials class for a few weeks. But like at the same time, like I was trying to do like grad school and then I was working full time and stuff like that. And then I had just gotten the dog and it was just, I was overextending myself too much for sure. So I had to stop doing that. And also quit grad school as well along the way. But
I was just gonna say, what's your you got a master's or you did not do it?
no, I quit because it was like, I just wasn't passionate about it. It's just,
Sure.
it's way too much of an investment to
Yes.
like keep doing
Yes,
that
it
kind of
is,
stuff.
yeah.
So
What do you do? I don't even know. What's your degree in your career?
I have a degree in economics, but currently I'm a systems analyst for higher education institutions.
Sure. Oh yeah, that. You know, you're a systems analyst for higher education.
I work for a college in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do what? You analyze
Well,
the
actually,
systems.
I've only been in the position for like a month because I worked for
Oh, sure.
Target for about 8 years. So I'm pretty new to this position, but
okay.
right now I'm just trying to learn all the different systems and how
Yeah.
they interact with each other and things
Right.
like that.
Analyze
So,
the systems. You're a
analyze
system
systems,
analyst.
yeah, understand them.
That's a great answer. I'm a system analyst. Well, what do you do? Well, I analyze systems. Oh,
No, it's a super good job though. I got really burned out at Target. I don't know. I don't think I could ever go back to that corporate life.
I think that's actually kind of normal for
Yeah.
their culture. I've heard that from a few people.
Yeah, I was like at the end of it, like I was absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
So I got out fortunately, and I got into I work for a smaller college in the Twin Cities now, and it's way better. It's so much better. It's low stress. Boss is cool. Have an office, which is awesome. So
That's some like grown up stuff there. You got an office. I think that's actually going to be for like, you know, the privileged among us, including us in that. That's going to be one of like the knock on effects of 2020 is a lot of people are going to realize they were sort of burnt out / done
Yep.
with what they were doing, and they're ready to kind of move on, even
Yep.
if it is in an ugly time, you know?
yeah, like when I left Target, like I had just an absolutely shitty boss. Like I got in a new position, I was all excited about it, and then it just turned out to be like a really toxic work environment and
Sure.
things like that. And I was,
Mm-hmm.
and then you throw in a pandemic and like working from home, so like you can't separate your home work life anymore. So I was just miserable, but I got out. It was a good
Yeah.
learning experience.
Yeah. I even texted the aforementioned Cleveter, and I was like, the conversation with Kevin Skadsheim is today. And I think he replied something like, does he talk? I think that's what he said. Actually, I forget the very first like context of it, but you came up to me like right as like advanced class was starting one night, and you said something like, you know, I mean, I'm like, I'm nearly a blue belt, or I've been around for a while, or whatever. And you said something like, you seem like a kind of a intimidating guy, but Marcus says you're actually pretty funny. And I said, well, a lot of people think that I come across condescending. that means I talked down to you. And then
Such a good joke.
You were like laughing like 10 minutes into class afterward because I was there taking pictures and stuff. I was like, all right, we broke that ice nicely. Because I had noticed that, yeah, you're kind of a man of few words, so it was good to kind of crack it open.
No, I definitely have, I have resting asshole face for sure. Like, I'm well aware of that.
Resting asshole face. I like that.
Raff.
It's good though because it's super intimidating. I mean, no one.
But I don't like being like I want people to like know that like.
For sure, I got you.
You know, I'm Kevin. I'm a friendly guy. You know.
Kevin, like from Wonder Years.
Exactly. That's a great fucking show, by the way. I grew up on that.
Well, so did I.
Well, it's not my show, but I grew up on that. Like,
what's your show?
Right now or just overall?
I don't care. Whatever.
What have I been watching lately? I started watching a really dark show last night. Actually, it's called Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yeah. Bryan Cranston. He's like a judge, and it's like his kid like accidentally kills like this guy in a car accident. It's like this mafia guy's son, so he's trying to protect him.
TV show or movie?
TV show.
Okay,
it's a Showtime.
series.
Yep.
Oh, it's
super
Showtime,
good.
right?
It's like I've watched like 3 episodes, and it's dark as fuck.
I feel like if you got Bryan Cranston, it's going to be good at this point, right? Like he's not gonna miss, other than like maybe a cameo in King Kong or something.
Was he a cameo in King Kong?
Didn't he have a really obscure like that crappy King Kong? I'm like a horror purist, so then you see these like modern incarnations, like ultra Hollywood versions of the monster movies, and you just shake your head.
You're a horror guy?
Yeah, but I think he was.
What's your favorite horror?
It's a big question. There's a lot of genres there.
Let's go with gore.
Far and away, my absolute favorite horror movie is Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
And I realize I just named a comedy, but it's like I'm a big Rob Zombie guy in terms of his movies. Now, a lot of people will eschew that.
He's trailed off at the end, I feel like he started strong in the horror movie, but like the newer his movies got, I think like the lower quality they got. Like House of a Thousand Corpses was amazing.
Yes.
Devil's Rejects was amazing.
His best.
But like like I watched one recently where like these like people get stuck in like this warehouse building. What the hell was that called?
I can't think of it. Well, so what you run into a combination, I think, of two things. One is you get bigger and better Hollywood budgets. They're cleaner, they're prettier movies. Well, that's not his movie. So now he's trying to make like the raw 70s, like gory sort of red dust in the air movie, but he's doing it in a really pretty manner.
I like this Halloween remake. That was very good.
Yeah, that makes like 2 of us on the planet, I think, actually. Yeah, and the other thing is like you can't really, I mean, a couple crazy guys killing everybody else, how many versions of that can you do? You know, and it isn't really like a testament to his, it's just like knock it off. There's a little bit of that element, you know. But I like digging into the way back classics, like the Cabinet of Dr. Kalengart and Nosferatu. That's like both of those are like silent film era stuff. But I mean, any of the big time classics like The Shining and Poltergeist and The Exorcist, hey, I'm in. You know, I think actually in the last like 5 to 10 years, some of the all time classics have come out.
Hereditary,
The Witch,
Midsummer. Did you see that one?
I'm down with Midsummer. I don't put it that high up on the list, but I liked it. We watched it again, or we started watching it again recently.
Oh, Florence. What's her last name? Pugh.
You lost me.
Whatever.
Skadsheim. I don't know names.
Oh, she is beautiful. Dorkson and I, we are like, we both always talk about her and follow her on Instagram.
I'm kind of upset with how often Randy and I agree on things.
Oh, he's a son of a bitch like that. He really.
You're like, man, this guy. Also,
he really
you're
knows
right, dude. You know, I agree. Also, this guy. What in the world? But like Conjuring, and I think Conjuring 2 is even better than Conjuring 1. You know what I mean? Like there are more terrible horror movies coming out now than ever, but when they hit it, boy, do they hit it.
Yeah.
Now they just like anything, like The Conjuring has turned into this big extended branching out franchise thing, like The Nun related and all that stuff. But like the core movies are some of the.
See, I don't really like. I mean, like Hereditary, obviously, was super creepy, but like the supernatural, like doesn't really
like Paranormal Activity and stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
See, I
get
dug
into
that
it.
whole series, but I also dug the whole Saw series within reason. It trailed off to
You like
your
like
phrase,
the gore porn type stuff.
I'm in, man. Whatever you want to
Hostel?
throw out there, I'm in. Yeah.
Hostel. I loved those movies, dude.
I saw that in a theater with a buddy of mine out in Fargo back in the day, and I don't remember this moment, but I remember he said afterward that like the eye scene where they're snipping the eye that had popped out or whatever.
The yellow shit starts oozing out.
So he said he looked over at me during that scene, and I was just smiling, like with wide-eyed smiling, like look at that. that either that one or another one is also like the last time, with my ex-wife back in the day was the last time.
You've been married?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the last time I got to pick the movie, so
Okay.
to speak, with her. My girlfriend Wendy, on the same page. Like we basically agree on all the top 25 classic horrors, so it's a
Okay.
much more amenable situation.
what's your favorite movie all time? Like, what's one movie you can just watch on repeat and like you'd never get sick of it?
I got a handful of those.
Give me.
I can recite Full
Give me
Metal
one of your
Jacket.
top
I can
five.
recite Full Metal Jacket for you.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Big Oliver Stone guy.
Apocalypse Now is a killer one. Full Metal Jacket's not Oliver Stone.
Really?
Hit it,
Oh,
hit
no,
it,
no,
Pauly.
don't tell me. I already know. Who's the guy that did Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, that
Stanley
guy.
Kubrick.
There
Yes.
you go. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Ooh, wipe the sweat off the brow. I thought we were gonna have to end this.
I get confused with Platoon. That's what happened.
Was that what it was?
Because Platoon is Oliver Stone, right?
I honestly don't even know that
Yeah,
one.
Platoon is Oliver Stone.
Yeah, I think okay.
Did you guys catch Knock Knock?
With
It's the Eli Roth.
Keanu? Yeah,
I
dude.
didn't. Is it good?
It's a good erotic thriller.
Yeah.
I literally was I watched it. Anna de Armas was in it.
Yeah, it's
I don't.
Leave that at that.
I don't know. With Eli Roth, would I name an Eli Roth movie that I liked?
Hostel.
I mean,
Cabin Fever.
it's fun. Hostel's fun, but like, if we're, maybe it's two different lists. But if we're talking like great movies, great
Yeah,
horror
yeah.
movies, like not even close. He wasn't he involved in the Death Proof or those Grindhouse movies? What
He was
his- what
an
his
actor
second
in
one?
Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, he was.
He was a the baseball bat
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, I mean he's good for like the gore porn, torture porn type movies, but I can't like you said, I can't think of like something great he's done really.
Yeah, and like if I were to list the top 25 greatest horror movies in my opinion of all time, I would maybe forget the Rob Zombie stuff, but they're my personal favorites.
Yeah. No, I
You
thought
know.
I remember when House of a Thousand Corpses came out. Like I think the only place in Minnesota that was viewing it was Mall of America theaters, and I remember like I lived in Pine City at the time. I was in high school, and me and my buddies drove down there just to watch it.
It's like 2001 probably
Yeah.
or something.
No, it was. I think it was 2003 because we had to be 18 to get in, or 17 or whatever because it was an R-rated movie.
Oh.
Paul, can you look that up for us?
Young Pauly. I don't know, man. I liked Devil's Rejects better.
That was more relatable. Like, I don't want to say relatable,
Yeah,
but like,
relatable's definitely the wrong word.
I want to. 03? Yeah,
House of a Thousand
like that.
Corpses was 03. So I saw Devil's Rejects in college. That's weird. I associate it with sitting at home in high school.
Devil's Rejects, I don't want to say relatable, but it was more like realistic in a sense of like something that could happen to you in real life.
It was like serial killers
Yeah.
rather than like there's a devil person.
yeah, and
out
there's
there,
like
for sure.
yep.
And that's the cool thing about his style is that he ran the same characters across similar plot lines, but had these huge variants that made them different movies.
And what was the trequel to that? Three from Hell. Did you see that one?
It was recent, like last year or whatever. Yeah.
I gotta watch that one.
It's
still.
fun just
Yeah.
because you liked the first two.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk greatness at all. The one that I referenced with Marcus last week was the Greasy Strangler, which I sort of tongue in cheek say is the greatest movie ever made, and it's a great one to bring up on jiu-jitsu centered conversations because it's called the Greasy Strangler, but it is redonkulous. A redonkulous movie.
Is that a Rob Zombie movie?
No,
Oh.
but it's just a completely ridiculous premise, and it's ridiculous in its seriousness. The whole thing, it's fantastic.
Like how old is it?
3-4 years.
Oh, really?
Something like
I
that,
might have
yeah.
to check that one out tonight.
It's my favorite. It's far and away my favorite movie.
Oh,
to,
did you see that
to
like
recommend to
super
somebody.
gory one that was on Netflix like 2 years ago? It's got like the clown that's like hunting these like two women.
Terrifier?
Yes. Did you watch
So
that
good.
one?
Honestly, that one I would put on some version of greatest of all time list. Like it's
The
certainly
scene where he cuts the chick in half.
yeah,
dude.
it's certainly
it's so
like
bad.
second best clown scary
Yeah.
movie of all time. Like you don't want to set it aside, but I mean, it is really good. It's the Terrifier.
Have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That was great.
I love that you love dark stuff. It's fantastic. Because usually, so here's the deal. Maybe you've experienced this, but like I'm a personal trainer by trade, right? So essentially my job is to hang out and talk with people while they're doing something that I'm making them doing, and it's largely just regular people, right? So this kind of topic comes up, and you end up talking about movies and
I'm a huge
know.
movie buff. I've always
for
been
sure.
to movies.
Who isn't? Like
Yeah.
it's weird when someone's like, well, I don't really watch a lot of movies.
I,
You're like,
I,
what
I
do you
prefer the
watch?
book.
Yeah. The
the
movie
hell
was
outta
better.
here.
You know what was good about the movie? I didn't have to read it for 7 hours. That was what was good about the movie. But anytime I say, yeah, we're big horror movie buffs, so we went out and saw, Midsummer, the new horror release or whatever, you get this look from people like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not really into that. And every time I'm like, good, honestly, like that's a
Yeah.
normal psyche. You're
Until
like
you
reasonably
suck.
healthy. And also, yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I think I got to watch Midsummer a whole second time through.
Oh, you
I
got to
get-
set aside some time for that bad boy.
Well, yeah, for sure.
I think it's almost 3 hours.
I think we saw it in the theater, but I get so picky and like snobbish and hipster douchebag about stuff, and I think I kind of did a little bit about that one.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But it's like you get on YouTube and you watch these like Watch Mojo and Cinefix and whatever,
You got more? I'll take another.
and like you see these lists of the top 10 like Easter eggs from this movie and that movie or whatever, and all these like top 10 lists about movies and culture and stuff. And that one, there's so much symbolism hidden like in the background and on the paintings on the wall and stuff. Like you get online and you look up the symbols of Midsummer and like read through them or watch a video about it, because reading what yeah, and watch it again, you'll be like, holy crap, man, you could figure this movie out long before the end of it. There's so much symbolism.
There's not that kind of like. There's a documentary that talks about like Stanley Kubrick and like The Shining.
The Shining,
but,
yeah, it's like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I can't remember what the documentary is called, but it's like really cool.
It's Room 237.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a great documentary.
The wackiest theories,
Yep.
and then a good number of them where you're like, huh, wow, okay, that seems really true, actually, Because that movie is super layered with stuff.
Yeah.
Like symbolism and ideas.
That was like
and
that was one of those. The Shining was one of those movies I saw when I was a little kid, and like I should not have watched it at that age, like because it just terrified the hell out of me.
That's I was assuming you were going to say something like that because you like horror movies
Yeah.
now, and anybody I know that likes horror movies now stumbled upon when they were a
Yeah.
kid, and
Thanks, dude.
they've been damaged ever since.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that and Candyman. I saw Candyman when I was like 8 years old, and like that's a to this day that's a terrifying movie. I feel like
because you saw it when you were 8
Yes.
years old. For the rest of it, it's basically a comedy, but for you, it's tied to childhood trauma.
Yes,
Like it's true.
it's like a love. It's like a what would that be? A masochist type love for it.
Sounds right. I don't know. So what we got to ask you is, in terms of like jujitsu game, do you favor being something of a jack of all trades, or having like a specific, maybe even a couple of key positions, moves, string together things?
I
Or
prefer my game for sure. Like
you
I don't
prefer
like
your game.
yeah. Like I don't like
So that's reasonably specific to a handful of things
Yep.
that you feel like you've mastered.
yeah. Like if someone were to come up to me and ask me about like Berimbolo or something along those lines, I'd be like, I don't know what to fucking tell you here. Like,
And I
go
respect
go
you
watch a
for it.
YouTube video. Like, I have like, and I think that's the thing about like, I don't want to say a lot of black belts, but like, as a black belt, it's you. I mean, you've obviously put your time in, but you're like you're kind of specialized in your game, and like you've kind of developed like an expert.
Well,
Don't like take these words like literally. Like I'm not when I say expert and things like that, but like you've developed your game to like kind of like a I don't know how to say this.
You specialized in
Yeah,
a few things
yeah,
that you
yes.
are just
They're
be honest,
I
you
could
are expert at.
I could like once I get good at teaching, like I could teach you how I do the things I like to do very well. Like I
Okay.
do, like, but like
Okay.
I could never teach you about like I said like berimbolo or
Well,
single leg X or like the type of things that like Marcus does. Like I could never be a guy to teach you about those things.
sure.
But like if you want to learn about like half guard, knee shield, things like that, like I could walk you through my game very well.
Well, let me pull that back meta a little bit, just because I've developed myself in certain physical endeavors, and then I've gone on to teach other people those things. You could teach me something about berimbolo or single leg X, because I know zilch about berimbolo or single leg X. But what you're saying is you don't feel like you could lead me to a seemingly expert level of understanding.
Yeah,
But you could teach a blue belt, someone who's never seen it, how to do it in like a general sense.
Yep.
But you maybe wouldn't be the go-to guy to like bring that game to a high level, because
Yes.
you personally haven't done
It's not something I practice,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
I could show you like how to get into single leg X and like what that position looks like, but there's like I could not elaborate on like the details
'Cause you
on
haven't
how to do
played
things.
that game
Yep.
a whole lot.
Yep.
Yeah. So as a recommendation though, let's say like a reasonably fresh purple belt asks you, should I be something of a generalist, a jack of all trades? Let me run with this question. Should I be a generalist or a jack of all trades, or have something of a couple of specialties, and or is it sort of inevitable to go one way or the other?
I think me personally, I would always tell. Then obviously there's might be disagreements on this, but I would always tell someone to like just really become an expert on the things that you like to do in jiu-jitsu. Like I think I could like watch like a lot of like lower belts and be like, look at how they roll, and I'd be like, oh, you should like really try to like develop on this, work on this, etc. Just like based on like what they seem to be doing a lot of, or like what they're going towards. I feel like, I I don't think. I think the whole jack of all trades things, like you shouldn't be doing that until you're a black belt, probably.
It's such a big pool
Yes.
and a deep pool.
Yeah.
You kind of almost have to find a few areas of specialization.
Yeah, I think like as you're developing through like the belt ranks and things like that, like you just become really good at the things that you like to do, basically. And then once you get your black belt, kind of like start to like explore those different areas and learn more about like those different types of like guard plays or like guard passing, etc. But that's just my opinion.
That's what I asked for. Yeah. You don't need to qualify. Yeah. Of course somebody will disagree. If somebody didn't, then I'd be worried. You know?
But like kind of like how I mentioned earlier though, like now that I have my black belt, like I'm trying to like learn more about like how to like teach different things and like explain how I'm doing different things and things like that. And I think obviously as I progress through my black belt, like I'll try to learn more about, single leg X or, berimbolo or things like that so that I can teach those somewhere down the line.
Do you feel a little bit of a pressure, like I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, I should have a better understanding of this or that or whatever?
Not necessarily. I feel like the pressure is like I have a black belt, so I should be able to explain like how I play my half guard game a little better and things like that. But like I would never be like, oh, I have my black belt now, why don't I know how to do single leg X? Like I think that's a little unreasonable.
I like that answer a lot.
Like people still pull me aside and they'll be like I've gotten done rolling with people and like someone has like asked me like, oh, like I went for like this guard pass and it didn't work on you. Why didn't it work? And I'm just like, it's like, I don't know, like experience, like sometimes it's just experience. Like there's some things like
watching the roll.
Well, like there's some things too, like it's not always going to be like this flowy art thing. Like why didn't, I followed these rules. Why didn't it work? It's like, there is still a fight aspect to it to where like maybe that person was just more aggressive than you in that certain situation and things like that. So like there's going to be times when, you'll do the technique exactly as you learned it and you think you have the timing all figured out, but the person you're doing it against just might be more aggressive in that specific instance.
Yeah. What is your sporting background previous to jiu-jitsu?
So like I did Taekwondo as like a really little kid, which we're not going to count that, but I was learning how to use my body at a really young age.
Really little kid, what do you mean? Like what age?
Like kindergarten, like that type of age.
Yeah.
Aside from like doing like flag football and like playing at recess throughout elementary school, I didn't do much. But then
in terms of like formalized sports and coaching and stuff.
Junior high, high school, I played football throughout high school. I did tennis 1 year. I did basketball through junior high, and I did track for basically 9th grade through senior year.
So you did a wide variety of things through the most formidable motor learning development years of your life.
I loved football. I wasn't great at it. I played, but I wasn't like a standout athlete or anything like that. I always just liked like doing things with my body, basically. Like I liked being an athlete. I wasn't like good at a lot of things. I was fast in track. Like I did good at track, I guess. And then after high school, I got into powerlifting a little bit, and like I always really enjoyed like lifting weights. So I did a lot of that after high school, and then that's basically when I discovered martial arts.
Weights don't fight back. That's
they
a nice
do not.
thing. You just plug it up and put it down.
I learned that very well in my first time I tried rolling with someone.
Yeah, you're like, I'm strong. This will be all right.
Yep.
Classic kind of thing.
I'm an athlete. I can do this.
Do you remember the first time you rolled with somebody?
Yeah,
specifically.
I threw up afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you make it to the bin?
So it was actually a really weird situation. So like it was in like near my hometown, and like I was like that wrestler I told you that like got me introduced to like martial arts and stuff.
Yeah.
He was like helping coach like this high school kid, and we went to their place, and they had like wrestling mats out in their like shed or barn, whatever you want to call it.
Which could bring us back to the horror movie conversation, depending.
But then, like, I did that, and like I think I rolled with my friend for like 2 minutes, like for like or whatever a wrestling match is.
Three 2-minute rounds in high school, something like that.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but like I remember like right after the one round, I like went outside and I had to puke.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm sure like I had that adrenaline aspect going, and then like
sure.
doing something completely foreign that my body's not used to,
and you're thinking this is a fight.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's that like you said earlier. By the time you're a purple belt, any sort of a fight should actually have some composure on your part. That's part of the training, right?
Yep. No, it's like I don't think like I've ever been as confident as an athlete as I was until I started doing jiu-jitsu. Like even like playing sports throughout high school and things like that. Like I liked doing it, but there was never like a point in my head, I think, when I was doing it, like where I was like, oh, I'm going to be awesome at this.
At jiu-jitsu or those other sports?
No, like when I was playing like sports in high school, like
Okay.
it was always like, oh, I'm going to do this. And like, I like doing it, but I'm like, I never wanted to be like, oh, I'm going to excel at this when I do it. And like,
you had that thought early on with jiu-jitsu though. Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Don't say it like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. But you did have that thought.
I think like
with
what,
jiu-jitsu.
like, I'm not like, I know I'm a black belt now, but I'm like, there are guys out there that would absolutely murder me. Like,
again,
but like I
drop
like,
the Midwest modesty stuff.
Yeah.
Like at some point you were like, I'm going to get the hang of this.
yeah, exactly. Like I like knowing that like I can confidently walk into like a training room and be like, okay, like I'm not going to just get my ass kicked here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
which in certain training rooms I absolutely would. If I were to go to Atos or like something like that, like those guys would probably just eat me
It's
alive.
the same thing I say with my power lifters though. Like if you pick the top 10 in the world,
Yeah.
we're all terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so yeah, if you expand out the metric to include other people who are just damn good at the thing, it might be all right. You know, that's not a fair.
Yeah,
It's not a fair
No, it's a good
framing.
point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like I might be really good at basketball, but next to LeBron, I'm a hack.
Yep,
You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep.
I'm not, for the record, but like, you know, no matter how good I thought
So
I
you
was,
look like you would be a really good basketball player, though. That's what's confusing.
I'm all fast twitch, man. I can move fast when I want to. I'm just afraid to move fast and hurt somebody because I'm also heavy, for the record. For the record. So when I was talking to Paulie about it, he was talking about how he kind of, what I described as like a blue-collar jiu-jitsu, which was sort of the same way he played hockey and soccer. Kind of nothing terribly fancy, nothing that's like highlight reel worthy, but a lot of good fundamental application of stuff. And he sees that same parallel in his jiu-jitsu. Do you feel anything like that relative to the other sports and endeavors you had?
I mean, me personally, I feel like kind of how I was saying earlier, like I didn't like have like a lot of confidence when I played like sports growing up, to where I feel like
Yeah.
I have much more confidence now in like how I do jiu-jitsu and things like that. So it's a little different for me, but I think that like it all depends on the individual. Like when
Well,
it comes
you
to stuff like this.
okay. So how long did you? What was the longest you played any other sport relative to the length of time you've been involved in jiu-jitsu?
So I played football 7th grade through 12th grade.
Okay, actually, so a fair amount of time.
Was that 6 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's,
and
it's
I've been
comparable
doing
to
jiu-jitsu
jiu-jitsu
for 9 years almost now. So
Yeah. Okay, so it's a fair comparison. I
yeah.
guess.
But I feel like you can always evolve on things. I mean, for sure. Like
Yes.
I think like one of the worst things like a person can do is like just stick with one mindset forever and how they do one thing. And I'm not saying like the way you approach jiu-jitsu is anything like that, but I don't think just because like I did something like from 7th grade to 12th grade and like how I viewed like sports and football, like I would hate if I had done that like with how I view jiu-jitsu now, I guess.
If you came at it with the same mindset,
Yes, because I feel like I wouldn't like. I'd just be like half-assing it, because I can't think that's kind of how I did like high school sports. Like I half-assed it, like I didn't really take them as serious as I take jiu-jitsu now and things like that. So
Why do you think?
I was just immature, had a bad focus about how I was doing things in high school and things like that. But
Me too. Not sports, but like
I wish I could go back and redo it, but maybe that's why I'm so like focused on jiu-jitsu now too. Is
sort of a self-redemption after the fact kind of thing. Yeah.
exactly.
The other thing that I wonder how much plays a role is so many of the activities you are involved in growing up, even if it's an quote-unquote individual sport. Like I'm the only person running from the start line to the finish line, and whether or not I beat these people is on me. You're still on a team. You still train amongst people. That's kind of a similar vibe to jiu-jitsu, but like it's different at the same time. Like you show up by yourself amongst a bunch of people. You're not on a football team. You're not on a track team necessarily. Your points don't contribute to their points, and that contributes. You know what I mean?
But you absolutely cannot get better at jiu-jitsu without good teammates.
Yeah.
That's
prevailing narrative of this very short-lived podcast so far is that like, yeah, your game, your success depends on who's around you.
Yep.
But I mean, in terms of a personal narrative or like your own perception of things, if I'm on a football team, well, I got to hit that guy, and if I beat that guy, maybe I hit that guy, and that's about it, and hopefully everybody else does their job. Jiu-jitsu is very much like, I got to survive this match once I'm in tournament, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you have to have like training partners that'll like get you better for sure, because you can't get good at jiu-jitsu unless you have people kicking your ass every day.
For sure.
And I don't think that's what makes it unique at the same time too, is I think you can get really good at like football or something like that, like by mentally just going out and getting after it. By like, you obviously have to have people that you can like chase after or whatever, things like that. But you're not going to get good at jiu-jitsu by just training it on your own.
Yeah, I don't need to beat my teammates in sprints practice.
Yeah.
The same way I need to like quote unquote beat my teammates at jiu-jitsu practice, right? Or even other like traditional martial arts like a karate or even a taekwondo, like. Same kind of deal. Like they're not
really good at punching air.
An opponent, right? They're getting good at board breaks and forms and techniques, but it's all sort of hypothetical, which is obviously a little bit different than like football practice or track practice or whatever. But like you're literally testing the skill set daily at jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, I mean you're doing like essentially a live fight every time you train jiu-jitsu.
Sometimes whether you want to or not. Yeah. I thought we were drilling, man. What's going on?
Maybe some days like you're in the gym and you're just trying to survive, but the guy you're going against is like he's on his A game that day, and he just takes it to you. You know, that's what makes jiu-jitsu cool. It's like some days I feel like shit, and all I'm trying to do is get through the training session, but you got this guy over here who is like, feeling amazing that day, and he's like just ready to fucking beat the shit out of you, and you have to just deal with it and get through it.
your low points might match up with someone else's high points and vice versa.
You just got to deal with it.
That's just the game, buddy. Yeah. And there's no team around you, like in the way we think of it in terms of
Yeah.
like basketball and football, to sort of buffer that difference. Like nobody else is going to step up. You're just going to tap to that.
Go Matt, go
Yeah,
Matt.
that wouldn't help me at all. I'm still tapping to that cross collar choke. With me on mount, I would still tap to that cross collar choke with you chanting my name. You know, what's your injury history like?
I think the worst one I ever dealt with is I herniated a disc in like my back.
Which one?
I don't even know which one it was.
Like upper back, lower back?
Like right between my shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Like lower neck type deal. Like that was just like a pain, like excruciating pain
I
that I've
bet.
never ever like.
You can't breathe with that kind of thing.
I couldn't
right?
sleep for 2 nights.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you just cannot get comfortable.
Being alive
yeah.
and having a thoracic spine injury, being alive is going to hurt.
Yeah, that I mean, like in hindsight, I probably should have dealt with it differently, but like that took almost like 2 years to like fully recover to where like I was no longer feeling like nerve issues or like pain or anything like that.
How'd you get that?
Overtraining and not paying attention to what my body was trying to tell me, basically. Just kind of following that mistake of like,
So it wasn't like an acute thing, like there was a moment where somebody had me in a bow and
Nope.
arrow and I bent funny and
no, I mean, like that's how it like. Eventually, that's how it happened. But like there was like
Sure.
pain building up to that point to where like there was one point when that did happen. But and I think that's like one of the important things you need to know, like when you're like training jiu-jitsu all the time and stuff like that, is like as an athlete you need to understand how to take care of your body, for sure. Like you need to train hard, but at the same time you need to like listen to your body and what your body is saying to you.
yeah, stay up late, drink plenty of beer, that kind of thing.
Don't drink water, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If something hurts, just bury it down and keep grinding through it.
More tape,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
just
exactly.
add tape to it. Yeah.
But that kind of goes like you need to find that balance of like training hard and like training through soreness, but like understanding when it's not soreness and when it's like an actual real pain.
The football coach version is: are you hurt or are you injured?
Yeah,
And honestly, like it's okay to hurt a little here and there. You
Yeah.
know, like I bent my elbow the wrong way the other day, and it'll hurt a little bit. But if it's injured,
yeah,
it's a little different, right?
yeah. But no, that was probably one of the worst things I've dealt with in jiu-jitsu.
That's the
For sure.
worst injury story you have? You've been doing jiu-jitsu / MMA for like 10, 12 years, and you had like a weird pinched nerve thing in your mid-back, and that's the worst? There's no blown out knee, there's no like turf toe.
You're minimalizing what an herniated disc feels like.
No. I'm with you. I'm with you like a herniated disc, but like it seems to me at least atypical.
I
to,
like when
like,
I
the
when
jiu-jitsu
I was
experience.
doing like MMA, I did fracture a cheekbone one time.
Ugh, see, now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's god awful.
I had to get surgery on my hand at one point. That was due to a
From-
bar fight.
Yes, of course it was. How many guys? 7, 8?
No, just one guy.
You're not. See,
guy,
you're
yeah.
missing the point here. You gotta sell the story on the radio.
One
Is this
guy every
radio?
5 seconds for a 3-minute fight. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, with a wrist lock, you dirty, filthy, cheating wrist locker. But honestly, I guess my main point is that's sort of surprising. I guess that's a long time of, and I've watched you train. I've watched.
Are you trying
roll.
to jinx me right now?
No, not at all. I don't believe in any of that. What I'm saying is like to your point about like reading your body and reading different pain cues and stuff and sort of knowing where the line is. It seems to me you've done a good job. You know.
Yeah, I've had bursitis twice, which is a painful pain in the ass.
Easy to undersell that. That's a terrible thing.
Yeah,
man.
bursitis
Like, it
fucking
doesn't.
sucks.
It's not like broken leg where it
No.
sounds dramatic, but man, is it awful.
Yeah, bursitis is painful. I've had it in both each knee once, I guess. What else have I dealt with? I mean, rib injuries always suck. I've dealt with rib injuries, popped rib.
Man, I popped like way up high. Not one of these little floaters and stuff, but like way up high,
Yeah.
one that attaches to the sternum and stuff in essentials classes.
Oh,
Like the week or 2 weeks maybe before the COVID shutdown. It took me
good timing, at least.
It sort of. Yeah, I mean, like it forced me to just let it rest for
Yep.
like 6 months. I never would have done that, right? I'd have given it 3. I'm really conservative with injuries, but not that conservative.
Yeah.
And when the gym reopened, I was like, man, this thing feels great. It's shaped different now. Like clearly I popped a rib out of place. It's out of place forever.
Kind of regrown where it's at.
Yeah, but it took like an hour and a half to get off the floor and walk out of the gym that day. It was mad silly, you know. What's the you ever inflicted injury on somebody other than that wrist lock from that match? And I don't even mean this in like a braggadocious
no.
sense. Like what? Unfortunately, what is like the worst thing you've in a tournament or whatever?
Honestly, like I haven't, and aside from that wrist lock that one time, there hasn't been a lot that I've inflicted on someone. One of the worst things I've ever done to someone though is, do you know Dave Margraf, the black belt from Cellar?
Just added him on Facebook, but that's
Yeah,
all,
just that
that's
massive
all I
human
know
being.
about him. Yeah.
When we were training together at the Cellar, it was like one of the first couple of times we were training together, and I went to go for a guard pass on him, and like I was a spaz little blue belt at the time, you know.
Love it.
But I swung around when I went for the guard pass, and my knee connected to like his temple, the side of his head.
Yeah.
So like hard and loud. It sounded like a baseball bat like cracking a piece of wood. Like it was and like he didn't get knocked out or anything, but like it was painful for him, and it was like my knee was sore that night and everything to where it was like I felt terrible, but
Yeah.
I think that's probably the worst thing I've ever done to someone in
Sure.
training, I think.
And he knows where you live now still.
He does,
He's
yes.
been keeping an eye
Yes,
on it
yes,
ever since, and he's
yes.
waiting for his chance.
Yeah, he's going to kill me.
Yeah. The one time from like any version of a mount position I ever decided to like swing to or like move to S mount position and swing a leg around and try to get an arm bar. I just straight kicked, and there's another blue belt named Dustin. He's a good guy.
Dustin's cool as shit.
Yeah, straight kicked him in the head, and like every time I saw him for like 3 months after that, I'm like, "How's your head, man? You okay? You okay?" You know, like I'll lose position and quote unquote lose a round and tap just because there was a point at which I had an advantageous position, and I would have really felt bad if I hurt somebody, so I don't do it. You know, like the whole thing just makes me feel really bad, but.
Well, like when I'm rolling and like I get to a position where I know like I'm going for a submission, like when you're training, you should always make sure you're giving your partner an opportunity to tap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if they escape because you're giving like them out like a moment to tap, like just let it be.
Yeah.
Like,
Presume you had it,
yeah,
right?
and just
Take
keep
it as like
keep going. Like when I go for arm bars, obviously, like if I feel like I'm extending the arm and I feel like they're gonna try to work to escape it, just let them work to escape it.
Mhm.
Like it's not a big deal. It's a fucking training session.
Yeah. You don't need to hump to the sky to try to make it hurt so that they'll tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tap to warm ups. It's all good. I'm not afraid of nothing. You know what I mean? Like, tap early, tap often. I'm gonna make T-shirts.
Yep.
Tap early, tap often. You can always try it again, right?
No one's leaving the gym with a medal, so.
Do you have a preference, one way or the other, gi or no gi?
Oh, I definitely prefer gi.
Why is that?
I mean, like no-gi is fun in terms of like the scrambles and everything like that, because there's obviously a lot more scrambles because you can't hold on to your opponent. But I think in the gi, there's a lot more room for creativity, and I like you can control your opponent a lot more too, because obviously you have grips and things like that. And in terms of creativity, you can do like a lot of different things, like manipulating the gi and things like that.
Like getting into the lapel game and
Yes,
stuff like that.
yeah.
There's just more things.
Or just
to
like in
hang
terms
on
like
to.
submissions too. Like you can use the lapel to like,
Sure.
try to like trap an arm or choke someone or things like that. And
Would I be wrong to generalize it like gi is definitely like more layers and creative game, whereas no gi is more athletic? Or is
well,
that
I don't
too
want to
generalized?
knock on no-gi guys because there's a lot of cool submissions that are done. In
No
no-gi
knock
as well.
either
Yeah.
direction. Like you could
Yeah.
honestly talk a little trash either direction based
Yeah.
on that generalization.
I mean, like straight up, like with the gi, like you don't have like that slip and slide game so much,
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not.
I'm not gonna like fall from a position, try to base and tear my pec or something like.
Well, like
this.
not
Less-
not
less,
necessarily
like,
that, but
slippery.
like you try to hold on to someone and they're just so like sweaty and slippery. They just like,
establishing.
they just
grips and
slime out of
control.
it, right
Yeah.
away. And but they're like I'm not like a no-gi expert by any means, but there certainly is like a lot of like cool shit you can do in no-gi as well
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that you couldn't get away with in the gi.
Mm-hmm.
But I just personal preference is this gi.
Sure. As very much a novice, when you watch no gi, it feels more magic.
Yes.
You're like, it's over now. What? what was the deal? Like
Yeah.
I saw one guy was sort of on top of the other guy, but what happened? You know, it's almost like a little bit more of a meta game visually.
Yeah. I mean, I think in generally, like with Nogi, there's a lot more like a lot of the leg attacks that happen. I think with Nogi than as generally, gi tournaments are going to be like, okay, you can't reap, you can't heel hook, you can't do things like that.
IBJJF stuff.
Yeah.
mostly, right?
Yes. But they are they're adding that next year into the Nogi game,
I
which
saw
is
that. Yeah, yeah.
very smart, I think.
Just to diversify it and
Just,
make
I
it
mean,
more
like,
a complete game.
There's no reason why you shouldn't be doing that in Nogi, honestly. Like, let people, attack the fucking knee and heel hooks and things like that.
In gi,
Like,
you mean? I'm sorry, in gi.
well, gi will be the same. You still can't reap in gi.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. I follow.
But I'm just saying,
sorry,
like, there's like a certain amount of creativity still in
Yeah.
like Nogi and like.
Yeah. Do you think that the greater propensity for a leg lock game is sort of like in place of the lack of grips? Like you don't have this big thick lapel for me to play off of either as a lapel guard type thing or any other just grip establishment, so then I move to the other end of your body.
It's actually a good question.
I hadn't really thought of it till now. It makes me hesitate to call it a good question. but honestly, like other than just simple rule sets, like if I can grab the most predominant part of your body, the torso, easily with grips of these big, thick, material all the way down your torso and control it, then I'm going to do that. Once I can't do that, I'm moving away from your grabby things, your hands, and I'm moving to your legs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like your question, but like I honestly like. I don't know like why that's like differentiated so much in like no-gi versus gi jiu-jitsu. Like, like kind of how I said it. Like, I honestly I understand like it's a lot more slippery in no-gi and like things like that. But like, I don't know why they like. I don't know who I mean by they, but why gi versus no-gi you can't reap or like heel hook and things like that. Like, I understand, like, the different rule sets, but I don't, like, fundamentally, I don't understand why there's a difference between there. Like, I just...
Right, why is it allowed over there?
Yeah,
but not over
exactly.
here?
Like, I don't, like, have an answer
Maybe
for
like
that.
a traditionalist
Yeah,
sort
I think
of
that might be
thing.
a...
The gi is a little more steeped in that old school thing.
Same reason why, like, you can't just, like, hit someone in the balls or, like, something like that. Like, it's just not part of it,
Yeah, like go to Naga, and then you can do that.
Yes.
No,
You can hit in the balls and not
no, I don't think so. You can slam, though, right? I mean, you may as well just hit me in the balls. You're going to pick me up and slam me. I don't know.
Slamming should not be allowed in jiu-jitsu.
Is that a firm position, or are you being sarcastic?
No, that's a firm position. I don't think
Tough that's one of the things I like about you, Kevin, is that like it's similarly tough to read your sarcasm when you've got it, just like it is with me. But you're actually saying don't slam in jiu-jitsu.
I don't think you should be able to slam in jiu-jitsu, regardless of whether or not you're on like an air race mat or.
Why not?
I don't know, like.
And I'm not taking a position one way or the
Oh
other.
no,
I'm
like
curious.
I don't. Same reason you can't hit someone. Like, jiu-jitsu is like a grappling submission based thing, and I feel like slamming someone is kind of like a strike almost. Like.
Do you run into that gray area of like good wrestling takedowns where like, well, it didn't really look like he was sweeping the leg as he threw him through the air and slammed into the mat. So was it a slam or was it a takedown?
But like if you're in someone's guard and you're just straight up picking them up and slamming them down, like that's just, you might as well just let them hit each other in the face at that point.
You're
I feel
bringing
like.
impact
Yeah.
into it like it
Yes.
shouldn't be. Yeah.
Because obviously, like part of jiu-jitsu, like there's going to be a takedown game aspect to it, and like there's that judo wrestling.
Is there
sport.
though? Is there really though? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you can obviously sit on your butt and
Yeah.
scoot in,
Butt
but
scooting, yeah.
I don't know. I just like I think like the whole combat jiu-jitsu thing is just so fucking stupid.
The slappy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean I guess like as like an idea guy, like, hey, that's an interesting idea. Let's go try it.
Yeah.
I dig it. But like then you see a few years of its application, you're kind of like, they're slapping each other while they're in guard.
It's like, why not just add fish hooks and stuff like that to MMA? You know?
You mean get back to the heart of it?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Nut shots and fish hooks and eye gouges. Let's go. Not to be a purist.
Finger twists.
Yeah.
Just
Finger
single finger
twists.
break.
Oh, finger break. Okay, yeah. Indian burns. That's, you don't want to call it Indian burns, but you know what I mean.
Snake
That
bite.
whole thing. Snake bite.
Snake
Is
bite.
that the deal?
That's
good,
PC.
good. I'm glad.
That's PC.
I'm glad to hear it. That's perfect. Yeah. See, I learned something today. All right, so Kevin, so one of the last things I'm going to ask most of you black belt types in this Booze with Black Belts series is basically advice for someone at a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt level. So start with, like I say I'm a white belt because Ishmael gave me a blue belt as a joke, right? So I'm a white belt.
Greatest joke ever.
What?
Kidding.
So far, so good, yeah. So nobody's laughing except him. So like as a white belt, like what you want to be? You want to be an instructor now? You're saying so.
Yep.
Like as a white belt, what should I be working on? What should I be aspiring to?
As a white belt, I'd say it's kind of like learning how to swim, basically. Just like learn how to be comfortable on the ground, essentially. So if you're learning how to swim, like learn how to be comfortable in water.
Like treading water.
Yeah,
almost,
exactly. Like just figure out the basic moves. Hip escapes. Then maybe like a basic sweep, things like that. Maybe you find out one good guard pass, but as a white belt, definitely just get comfortable like being in the gym and like being able to roll with people and things like that, like for sure. As a blue belt, once you get your blue belt, just be able to get your ass kicked. If you leave the gym after just getting the shit beat out of you, be upset, but don't be upset to the point that you want to get better, but don't quit for sure. Because if you quit, then you'll never be a black belt. Purple belt, learn how to roll hard. Be comfortable with just showing up to the gym every day and being able to just roll really hard. That's like I've read that a few times. Like at a purple belt should be a rolling belt, and I think that I truly believe that you just need to like learn how to be winded all the time and like just yeah. Brown belt, I don't really know what to say from there because
Well, you were just a brown belt.
I know.
Just you haven't had time to reflect.
Start figuring out. That's a good question. Getting more confused at brown belt.
Maybe that's it. Embrace a new level of confusion.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. That's
Don't
a good way
agree
to put
with
it.
me, bro.
Well, maybe just like as a brown belt, maybe just like start thinking more about like how you do your game, I guess, and how to like articulate that. Because then, like once you get black belt, I feel like you should be able to articulate your game a lot more. So, but like kind of like backtracking, I think purple belt, like along with the rolling purple belt, you should for sure have your game figured out by then too. So then brown belt, maybe try to refine on that a lot more. So then once you get to black belt, like you know how to roll hard, you know your game, and you know how to articulate your game. That's what I'm going to go with.
Sounds good to me, brother. All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. K Skadsheim, Instagram.
Anything else? It's at K Skadsheim.
At K Skadsheim.
Jeez.
No. Yeah. Hi, Poppy. Just kidding.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And we end it there.
Put my foot in his